Okay. Okay, I'm testing something different here. I'm using both OBS and Restream Studio at the same time. Um, Restream Studio does have some limitations where it doesn't let you do browser source overlays, and so I kind of have to use I have to use another broadcaster in order to do a virtual camera. So I'm using OBS Virtual Cam to pipe in overlays into Restream Studio, and so this is like going to be a little bit of a experiment and um, a little bit of a podcast as we kind of check things out. But before we get started here, this is another trailer talks with Trent Knox. It's just me hanging out with y'all and also talking about business and everything going on in the world of Trent Knox and Trent Knox Productions and all the brands associated with Trent Knox. I see we just went live on the Twitch, and we're we are broadcasting now to Twitch, and it'll be really great. Of course, this video will be available after in the form of a Spotify video on Spotify podcasts, and it'll also be on YouTube and all the other platforms. I think Facebook is starting to remove live streams after a certain point in time, like they're they're expiring live streams, whereas other platforms aren't doing that. I kind of wanted to start this off by talking about both Upplify and Streamlabs. So I guess we'll start with the thing that most broadcasters need when they're starting their live streaming journeys, and that's definitely a way to monetize their content via alerts and ways that they can basically get notified that their following is increasing. And shout out to my mom. I made my mom follow me on Twitch, so I'm just gonna play that real quick. And I got a little funny Pineapple Express video that goes along with that. And then I have my mom now following. So I just did that alert there. But that right there, which you just saw, was Streamlabs. And for you guys, I'm going to now put in the lower third information about that. So give me one moment while I edit this, and we'll talk about Streamlabs, and I'll open up the website so we can look at it here. So one second. Um, Here we go. Here we go. And I believe this is going to pop up now. Yep. So it's going to say go to https://streamlabs.trentknox.com. And what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go to trentknox.com. I'm going to open up streamlabs.trentknox.com. And then what I'm going to do is come back to Restream. I am going to share screen. I'm going to do Chrome tab. I'm going to do this. I probably should do it like this. And I'm going to share this tab here, and later, all of that later. So I'm going to show my oh, let me see if I can come back here and see what's going on. Boom. All right, there we go. And so I wanted to pop this up and talk about Streamlabs a little bit, and what they've got going on as far as um their ultra plan and everything that it's um come to the platform. And in some ways it's another version of OBS. It uh enables you to be able to use Melon. Melon is sort of like Restream, but not entirely there. It's definitely different. Um, as well as you get your other tools and things like that that work for a lot of streamers. You know, there are a lot of gaming content creators out there that will use Ultra and find that it offers them all the suite of features that they need in their ecosystem. For me, I'm always looking for ways to kind of glitch the game or find a way to an alternative cheaper or whatnot. And so I use Ultra off and on, depending if I'm doing a mobile broadcast or if I'm doing if I need to get an extra feature set when it comes to desktop streaming. And I really like what they've got going on as far as content goes. And they work with, you know, content creators like QT Cinderella there um, in basically evangelizing with their brand. Um, so it's really a valuable platform, the Streamlabs Ultra. If you're someone who's looking for a web-based solution for their broadcasting needs, Melon is a great option. And it's incorporated into this Streamlabs Ultra one Ultra plan, 8 creator apps, and also, you know, look at what it does. It enables you to have editing functionality for content that, you know, a lot of other platforms don't have. Like, I mean, you've probably seen TikTok is got CapCut that really came, you know, is doing a number on mobile editing on your smartphone. Like now you can basically make cinematic movies with just an iPhone 14 Pro or even any Pro camera since the 13 that has basically Apple ProRes in it. You can make a cinematic level film just from your iPhone. And so having this ability to go out and create content and edit directly on your, you know, your smartphone, creating these films that could go on Cinemark movie theaters, AMC movie theaters, whatever the case may be. Of course, you know, the iPhone isn't yet an approved Netflix camera, but I'm sure down the road this is not going to be, you know, this is nothing to this is nothing to bat an eye at. This is, you know, it's going to be a very um appealing device compared to like a cinema red camera or something like that. Of course, those are innovating as well. But when it comes to live broadcast, there's really no suite of tools out there that's like all in one place that it is for Streamlabs. Streamlabs is one of the go-tos. You know, their closest competitor, Stream Elements, but they don't really even Stream Elements doesn't really offer the same suite of tools or the ecosystem that that Streamlabs does. And so like I really recommend going to streamlabs.trentknox.com and checking out their offers because if you're if you're in any form of broadcast, the way that they can bring in the community, the way that they can add an extra layer of value to your broadcast is um, unmatched. You know, you're gonna get those follower alerts, you're gonna get those subscriber alerts, you're gonna get merchandise alerts for purchases made in merchandise. Um, yeah, there's just a lot of value that can be got from, you know, working with Streamlabs. So I'll kind of segue away from Streamlabs and then we'll go in and we'll talk about Applify next. Because both of these are both browser source based tools. And so I'm going to say stop sharing here and we're going to go pop back up. Here we are again. And I'm going to go to the Applify real quick. And I'm going to change the lower third here in a moment so that you see that. So everyone got the lower third for Streamlabs. And now we're going to add the lower third for for Uplify. So that's going to be uplify.trentknox.com. Oh, and I also forgot that I've also updated my website. I've also updated my website so that everyone can now go to my website. You could go to trentknox.com/uplify. It'll do the essentially the exact same thing that we're doing with the subdomains. For you to just be able to go to the website, trentknox.com, and find all the resources that you need in the creator economy. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for content creators and even gig economy workers. Like, I'm trying to make monetization in this new digital age so simple for anyone that's an entrepreneur, whatever the case may be, to just access resources and get bonuses and benefits directly from my website. Like, just make it super easy, one-stop shop for everyone to get their monetization, pay their bills essentially. Being a content creator is a super awesome gig, of course, if you were able to make a success out of it and make a name for yourself. You can just go directly down that route and just be a content creator. Of course, that's very challenging to be, appealing, attractive, create an audience, run a brand, and all that stuff on your own. Whereas, there's plenty of opportunities out there in the gig economy to help out with things. And I don't have this on my website yet, but with Stringer and Fiverr and Upwork and other creator economy centric or adjacent opportunities. But without further ado, I want to show you guys Uplify. So what I'm going to go over here is I'm going to show you an example of what that looks like. So it's going to send a preview and it's going to kind of overlap. So you might not see the lower third in here in a minute, but it's going to pop up and oh, something weird just happened there. But it's because the overlay is missing. But as you can see in the bottom right corner there, we're doing like a preview of a Netflix ad. And yeah, the lower third is overlaying over the top because that's through Restream Studio. As you could tell, and you could hear in the background there, there's also audio connected to these browser sources. So every time a content creator runs their ads like this to their broadcast, they'll get a small commission based off of the advertising. And it really is an opportunity for people to make a little bit of extra money in the creator economy by running these programmatic sponsorships. And I can definitely guys get you connected with the Uplify team and everything like that if you would like to learn more about that. But without further ado, I'm going to open up in a browser and share the screen for that as well. Since I'm signed in, I'm going to need to open up an incognito window so that we can see that that offering and then everything. So now I need to go back here, go share screen, Chrome tab, this one here. Okay, there we go. Need to go back here, participants, and there we go. So now you can see I have this dashboard open. This is where you would go to when you're ready to register a demo account. Whenever you go to uplify.trentknox.com, or again, you could go to trentknox.com/uplify. It'll bring you to the same place. Which I'll just show you that so that you can get an idea of what that looks like. So trentknox.com/uplify. It'll pop up on my website here. Just a moment. Let it load. Should load here any second. Looks like there's a little bit of a glitch going on there with that one. So we're just gonna go back. We're gonna go back here. So uplify.trentknox.com. That'll show up. I'm going to actually just go directly to the Upify.app website so you can um, see the main page. So there's two here, and I can get you connected with the team to help if you're an advertiser. So for streamers, of course, what you're going to be doing is doing these overlays on your broadcast and adding it like such. This is the video that they have showing the tutorial. You're just going to easily integrate Amplify to your streaming software, OBS, Slob, Split, and many others. You're going to start your stream, and then you're going to start earning money based on the revenue and the things that they're tracking. The things that they're tracking via the Twitch API or the YouTube API or the Trovo API. So yeah, and then you can join their Discord just to get into the community and talk with other streamers and other advertisers that are utilizing the platform. I'll show you the brands a little bit for to get an idea. So it's media sponsorship at the heart of live streaming. That's exactly what they're saying here. And what sets it apart from a lot of other campaigns and everything that is ran by in advertising to the gamers is that it's non-skippable. So it's a direct collaboration with streamers and content creators. And so it benefits them and they already know their audience enough to know what types of programs and campaigns they want to run. So they can choose which campaigns that they want to run, like a shaving company or an energy drink or a Bed Bath and Beyond or whatever the case may be for who's what campaigns are being ran, and they can select which ones as streamers that they want to broadcast. And that helps brands and that helps streamers because then they're being authentic with their advertising and messaging. That's not even afforded to Twitch streamers across the board. Twitch likes to run advertising across all channels, and like real there's no features to turn on and off certain types of advertisers on your channel. It just is the case, and then so what happens is streamers are then just put in a position that they have to tell their audience that if they don't want to see those advertisers, they're gonna need to subscribe at $4.99 per month or Twitch Prime or use an ad blocker or whatever the case may be in order for them to avoid those ads. And with this being the case, they can tailor the advertising more towards their audience so that they're getting commission. Their audience understands that commission. They're getting paid for these running these sponsored campaigns, advertising, and it makes it more authentic, like I said, and tolerable in a sense. But yeah, so that's Upify, and I just definitely wanted to kind of open up by talking about those two things: Streamlabs, of course, and Upify. So you can find those links to both of those. I will now change my lower third so that you can see what I'm talking about there. So for all the links that I have, I use, you can go to links.trentknox.com. Uh, and I'll show you that now. Basically, that's my link tree where you can find all the value. And I'm gonna stop the screen share here real quick. That's where you can find all the value that I have as far as resources and opportunities and everything out there to to make it in this economy that we've got going on. I know it's a tough times out there, and in order to be successful in a recession or whatnot, you got to be a hustler, you got to be a grinder, you got to get out there and do hard work and put on 100% of your effort into finding that little bit, those little wins, you know, every single day. We're all seeing huge losses, and but it's those little wins that get us back to that balance that we're looking for. And so yeah, so go ahead and go to https://links.trentknox.com today to just see those resources, and I'll show you what I'm talking about there. just so that see like what sort of value I'm bringing to the table when it comes to links. So let's head on back over here and do another screen share. Okay, so now I gotta bring the screen share into the broadcast. All right, here we are again. So you see, you can add your phone number, and that's gonna make it easy for me to, shoot you a text message of anything that I find is like super important to send you some information. Add your email, and if there's like newsletters, PDFs, or anything like of super huge value, I'm going to shoot you an email with that information. Of course, if you don't know, I have a podcast that this show right now will go on to the podcast, and you can listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the different platforms, Google Podcasts, you name it. Or you can just go straight here to links.trentknox.com and listen to the podcast from the browser. Um, yeah, so then of course I have a building an esports brand, a PDF that's 25 bucks. You get a little quick 5 principles of how to start a foundation on your esports brands. It's just a little contribution. It helps make things helps support a lot of the different brands that I'm operating. There's Trent Knox or Esports Business Network or Cyber City Media or Metapreneurship or Austin Live and Local or any of these these projects and brands that I'm working on. That little it really does count, and I appreciate everyone who has purchased the esports brand PDF. And again, thank you for that. And then of course, I have all my affiliates and sponsorships running here. So you got Topalti, Upify, just the new one, Partner Stack, Zoom Info, Panda Doc, Repurpose, Kit. I had the Black Friday and Cyber Monday for Walmart up. Of course, Restream, Google Workspace, Constant Contact, Pictory, which I like for AI editing, Crowdfire for being able to get a lot of the content out that we have for social media, if it's like blogs or stuff like that. Uscreen, great, great platform for OTT. Highly recommend it. Subscription services, everything like that. Subgrade, do have a buddy who runs that organization up in New York, Elliot Rivera. Go ahead and check that stuff out. Pretty good stuff. Um, Fiverr, of course, for this is, if you're looking to outsource, on a micro level, that's a great resource. Of course, I am also a reseller of AT&T Fiber, so you can go ahead and sign up for, just to see if AT&T Fiber is available for your business. You just fill out the form, and I'll get you connected with my point of contact there. Display Social is kind of like TikTok. It's an opportunity to make a little bit of cash up front by reposting your content onto a platform like Display. Then it's a link to my website, scheduling consulting, um, LinkedIn optimization. I've been doing an application for that where I've, basically broke down what things are on your profile, what you need to update, how the language on your profile should look, whether you should ask for recommendations and referrals on your page. Of course, last but not least, an ability to contact me by filling out a form and just reaching out. Um, so yeah, I think that's about all the housekeeping and everything needed to do up until now, and now we can kind of just get into um the rest of the story. We can get into the rest of this podcast. So I'm just going to close out everything else and leave this up. So I've taken about a month now and some much well more longer than that. So the last time I did a real video production was back in July. So July, August, September, October, November. I wouldn't say it like it was. Yeah, I guess it was beginning of July. So July, August, September, October, November. So about 5 months, a little less, maybe like 4.5 months, um, I took a break from video production. Um, I wanted to go out. I've said this before in previous podcasts, just to kind of test my um, strength. Let's just say that, just test my ability to do other things, normal things like a regular job. And I definitely overdid that by going in and trying to do a lot of physical labor, overtime, everything like that. And it's tough. It's tough and it's tough work. And if you're that type of person that's able to, go be a roughneck or do long haul trucking or fix skyscrapers, wash windows, all those type of jobs, like, I commend you for that. And if you put in 20, 30 years doing that, I hope that your health is good. My biggest concern is that you're, getting your checkups, that you're not getting caught up in the in drugs and alcohol and steroids or whatever the case may be that's, harming your body or harming you, as an individual. And so I would say just be careful in that regard. Now, when it comes to more soft skills like content creation and these things, like, anybody can do it, to be honest. Anybody could. And everybody has a story to tell. So it's just a matter of how you package the story to tell that story. And people like myself that have done both, there are a lot of people who have done only one or the other. People who do extremely hard labor work versus, and then people who've only done content creation or soft skill based jobs. There's both. People who have limited experience and people who have extremely robust, well-rounded experience. Um, I think that the thing that I most successful and the reason why I am able to kind of communicate on both sides of the camera, behind the scenes and in front of the camera, is because of that practical real world experience. Because I've done more of the sales oriented type things, like working retail and doing network marketing, but I've also done electricity, HVAC, uh, car wash. I've done um, warehouse, now manufacturing. I've done that and put in the time and effort to learn those things, and so that makes it easy for me to kind of reformulate my message for different audiences. And what's interesting when it comes to content creators wanting to diversify their, income streams, it's my unwavering ability to find the most cutting edge opportunities out there. I just am always looking for them. I never get complacent. I never, rest on my laurels in that regard, to stop looking for the new way to make money, the new source of SaaS service that's connecting content creators to money or gig economy workers to money, because there's also a whole lot of opportunity to diversify your revenue if you're a Lyft driver or Uber driver by adding the ability for like payphone in your vehicle, or purchasing movies while on a long ride, or television shows, a little 30-minute episode, you got a 30-minute drive, hop in, music, even, like in that scenario where you get to pay for the jukebox, or something of that nature. And so I'm always looking for this type of thing, and always keeping my eye out for what's cutting edge and what's new. And if I want to give out to Palti another shout out because they really um opened up a lot of opportunities for me to be able to talk with these um, CEOs, CTOs, CROs at some of the biggest companies out there, biggest brands out there. They gave me the confidence to be able to reach out to these folks because I had an offer, I had something valuable to bring to the table. I knew that, when I started working with Evan and the team at Tipalti, I had started developing a branded audience for Esports Business Network. And, going back and talking to some of the folks who were early involved and still to this day can be involved with what Esports Business Network is, it has changed a lot. It has gone from a very business to consumer mindset, um, where I was originally thinking that I would be producing a podcast and making that into a learning management system to teach uh, aspiring content creators to be able to leverage their skills in gaming to get into an esports team or start their own esports org or work with sponsors and advertisers to monetize their streams and whatnot. And that's a very saturated space. There's not a whole lot of opportunity in that, and I can off the top of my head point to a number of people who serve that audience, and so what I didn't see and what I still don't see, because it is a lot more challenging, and there are more people involved usually in these deals, um, is speaking to more of a business to business offering. So Esports Business Network today is utilizing the 60 episodes of content that we previously recorded to talk about how esports has changed from a grassroots level to a professional sports level to what it is now today with the economy. Esports is more of a marketing tool, and it has always been a marketing tool, but more of like an entertainment, um, another form of just entertainment, much like a game show is like an Amazing Race or who wants to be a millionaire or something along those lines. It's more correlated with that or real world than it is correlated to um, the World Cup, for instance, which is going on right now. Everyone wants to kind of believe that there's a high level competition going on in esports, but we know for a lot of reasons that it's not as authentic as we'd like it to be. It's very contrived. Doesn't matter what game you're playing, Call of Duty, Halo, Fortnite. The people who get um the people who get the opportunities are the people who are, have the best on-screen personalities. I mean, those are the people who are going to get the big bucks. I guess that's sort of similar to the NBA or college football or even hockey. The personalities are the ones that are going to make the most money. It just seems more scripted when it comes to the esports space right now, unfortunately. That not to say isn't damning when it comes to monetization in the space. It is damning when we're talking about sports books and when we're talking about gambling and that component. But it's not damning when it comes to advertisers wanting to place advertising over um, the biggest esports tournaments or the cash pools, um, and even content creators like on the Twitch platform or TikTok or YouTube. And so Esports Business Network has gone from this very B2C mindset mission to now more of a B2B. And at this stage, we're working with data providers who've accumulated information around these tournaments, um, around the brands that are being built in this industry, to offer influencer marketing, content marketing, network marketing to um, those brands that are trying to reach that millennial Gen Z audience. As the operator, the creative director of Esports Business Network, I still really I want what I want from the branding of Esports Business Network is to be able to make content that speaks to that B2C component. I still want to open up the door for people like myself that just got started in 2018 in gaming and esports to see behind the curtain of all the shenanigans that's going on, because there's so many bad actors in the space that are gatekeepers and hold that are intentionally sandbagging and nerfing themselves, like they're smurfing for no reason. To and smurfing is a terminology for non gaming folks, meaning that you're sandbagging, which is another thing. I guess that's more sports related. Basically, just s- underperforming on purpose. Let's just say that it's when you don't try your hardest, you kind of just mail it in, and and in order to like either play with worse players or put yourself in a better position than actually playing at your skill level. So that's what that is. And so there's these gatekeepers and people holding other people back from finding their opportunities in the space. And I won't go around naming names, but there are some personalities in the space that I would call gatekeepers. Now, if they wanted to have a debate on whether they're gatekeepers or not, or if that their behaviors are not uh indicative of gatekeeping, I would definitely like to have those conversations. I'd have to, call them a gatekeeper in front of their face, to just call them out uh, behind the scenes first before I air them out on a podcast or a live stream. There are people that I do want to give kudos to, of course. I do like what's going on the LinkedIn platform and people who are creating content and publishing stuff out there. Mark Kai, Chris Smith, Jake Lucky now. Those 3 are really putting out good content. I'm not even gonna say just LinkedIn, I'd say Twitter as well. They're putting out good content on Twitter, LinkedIn. I don't know if they really have, brand presence on Facebook or anything like that, or TikTok. I don't really participate much on those platforms, even though the Esports Business Network has, developed a decent community on Facebook groups. Um, there's always something there for um, for enthusiasts and people who want to be esports professionals to find in the Esports Business Network Facebook group. I have a pretty good idea of what the creative direction needs to be for Esports Business Network. The thing that I've found limiting me is that I don't know if I'm the best producer when it comes to the esports and gaming or gaming and esports space. I see people who build these NFT communities They build other gaming communities for, role playing or things in that of that character, of that nature. Um, that have built, like, millions of people that are following or, maybe not millions, but hundreds of thousands of people on a Discord server. Um, and yeah, so I have a good idea of how to structure everything and make it, valuable, but as far as, like, actually that community building, I think I'm definitely struggling to get that done. And I definitely, if there are community builders out there that are interested in helping, you know, I definitely want you to reach out to me if you're listening to this broadcast and can do that, then definitely please reach out and let me know how you can help me um, incentivize more people to participate in the community aspect of Esports Business Network, and hopefully from a business to business standpoint. Um, from a B2C component, um, we're just not we're not helping people in the B2C component as much as we used to. The cost of infrastructure for a B2C component and then getting those instructors and everybody involved, uh, it was very expensive and it was a gamble. Let's just say that. It was a gamble that didn't pay out. Um, I learned a lot from that process, uh, and for those people who worked with me along the way of getting it to where it was, and it just didn't get utilized. It wasn't ever completed. So, that's the challenge there. But I'm trying to take the lessons that I learned from that and give those back to the team, people who were involved along the way, and also, you know, because those individuals are going to understand a little bit more, uh, based on the experience that we all went together through together. But for the audience that's, listening to this broadcast, that's familiar with how you build a community like that, you'll understand, like, the trials and tribulations that we went through in order to really not find any success. I mean, not any direct success to the programs that we were trying to do there, but the indirect success that I'm talking about of that learning experience and, you know, something that Gary Vaynerchuk always says, and me and my buddy Knives Monroe talk about, is it's about the reps that you put into the gym. It's not about the competition. It's like the competition is when you get to showcase all the hard work you put in a gym. You know, like Drake even says, like, you weren't even there shooting with me in the gym, like When though when you're in the gym and you're, like, working out with those guys that helped you, those gals that helped you get to where you're at, you have to, like, definitely respect them and give them, their kudos and props, for having, you know, showed up. Unfortunately, not everything was free and, sometimes you have to pay people to be your friends effectively, like, and that's that whole Childish Gambino line, right? It's like you have to basically pay basically, I mean, it costs to be the boss and so and it is another way to say it, and I said this before on air, on a podcast and a broadcast before, but so the Esports Business Network and what is, what it has came to be and what will it continue to be, is vastly different than I think that the original mission and was, um and I'm really, really looking forward to 2023 and what we're gonna be doing with our partners next year. Um, yeah. The type of content that we're gonna be creating, for brands that are looking to reach the gaming and esports space is gonna be unparalleled. We are gonna find the we're gonna have some of the biggest content creators involved, and the biggest brands involved in the gaming and esports space. Fortunately, the work that we did, the reps that we put in the gym in 2022 is gonna allow us to do something very big in 2023. Um, and I'm really, like I said, I go back to Tipalti for this one. I really appreciate the team at Tipalti, the alliance team at Tipalti for um opening that opportunity for for me. And I've been able to kind of connect them with other key opinion leaders in the gaming and esports space so that they can also get opportunities um and evangelize about the the things that Tipalti is doing to speed up monetization and get content creators paid faster. Um, because it comes down to that. I was just having this conversation with Knives. I don't remember if that was today or yesterday, but about the fact that it's a bummer that people will businesses will tell you that they have to pay you net 30, net 15, or net 15, net 30, net 45, and that they don't they just operate somehow differently than this creator economy. The creator economy is like pay me on the day at the time. Because even the gig economy is like that now. It's like you can cash out your earnings on most gig economy apps same day. It's a little fee like 50 cents or something like that to cash out. You you should be able to get access to the money that your hard work, uh, you know, you should be able to get access to the compensation for your hard work immediately as soon as you've done the work, right? And it is historically that like it's either like get paid weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, but like in business, this whole net 15, net 30, it's like if I can pay my freelancers and people who I contract to help out with the gig on the same day, there's no reason clients can't pay 50% up front and 50% on the back end on delivery. Like, that's just the way that it should be. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's 2022, about to be 2023. Like, this the access to your funds is immediate these days. Zelle, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Stripe, it doesn't matter. Like you can immediately fund people's accounts. So there's no reason why there should be any delay in you getting compensated for your hard work, the work and effort that you put in. And so that's what we're trying to work with content creators to do. Like we just want to make it more accessible. And Twitch is I think a delay of like 15 days is like let's try and figure out like what can we do to make that immediate so that content creators are getting paid um and getting this economy moving because the faster the money ends up in the consumer's hand, um the faster that they'll be able to spend that and get the dollar moving in the economy. Doesn't even have to be the dollar, it could be any currency. Um, so yeah, in regard to Cyber City Media, which is like the content creator, the agency component. Um, I mentioned on my LinkedIn today that I met with a client that that actually reached out to me via LinkedIn Messenger to set up a consultation session to talk about e-commerce and influencer marketing. And what was so fascinating about that was I was under the impression that they wanted to talk about more product-based, um, sales. I thought that they were thinking more like physical products that are, advertised on TikTok or or like fidget spinner type things, like, how to sell products with influencers on social media. I thought that was the conversation. It ended up being more B2B, to be honest. It was more of like branding focused. It was very much like digital digital products, and something I have a little bit of experience in because I've um purchased digital assets across the board, and domains, websites, um learning management courses and things like that. And so like when I got the opportunity to do this consultation, I brought a lot of the value to the table as far as like experience goes, and it was really cool. That's a avenue of talking about agency work and delegation that I really um hadn't spoken much about, with the fact of like subcontracting and freelancers and marketplaces. um I hadn't had a lot of opportunity to talk about that recently on any broadcast or anybody asking me any questions like that. So it was good to talk about Upwork. It was good to talk about Craigslist. It was good to talk about Fiverr and those um in those ways. And so to talk a little bit more about Cyber City Media right now, it's an interesting conversation. Uh I'm currently not working on any big productions. Um I don't know, if I have the capacity or the time to really focus on bidding on big video production or big, online production or anything like that. So it's one of the main reasons why I've sort of put Cyber City Media as a brand on hold to focus more on Trent Knox and Trent Knox Productions, because as an individual, I can get a lot done without having to manage a bunch of different personalities. Um, and so I can go and do, you know, a podcast engineering, or um, being a creator economy consultant, or literally anything that's solopreneur action. I can do that without much struggle. Um, the fact that pretty much everything can be done remotely now, whether that be editing or podcast recording, is really a benefiting factor to what I can do. I can do a lot of gigs that way versus when it had to be very much in person. It was limiting the number of people that I could service as an individual. Um, I say that, but I've been really thinking lately that I want to bring back Austin Live and Local. And I've talked with Brian a number of times about how we would do that. How would we bring back the brand Austin Live and Local? We submitted a few different applications to some shows. Um, we're going to talk again this week to figure out like how we come back and talk about Austin artists, brands, and events in a meaningful way. The the culture in Austin has definitely changed. Um, some of the same things are still here, but the the place people hang out the most is it has moved from more of like a Rainy Street area to now it's more of like a West Sixth area, and Dirty Six is still popping, and the Domain is going off and whatnot. But it has changed, and people's interest in Austin has changed. Um, the places that people hang out has changed. The culture of um, native Austinites has changed. So it's really challenging to find the middle in this scene, to both speak to the people who are transient and to also the native folks who multi-generational people who come from Austin, Central Texas in that regard. So we're talking to more of this venture capitalist space with in regards to like the polished nature of the tech industry that's brought to Austin. We're talking about how real estate investment came here, how we're getting more of a refined culinary scene in Austin compared to previous generations or decades, I should say. Um, Talk about accessibility to well, the mainstream, with now having the Moody Center, and everything kind of a giant, arena for big name acts to come into town. We've had a lot of names now come into town, and we've had names come to the suburbs. There's a venue that opened up in North Austin that's now had Snoop Dogg like crazy, and even in my hometown of Georgetown, Texas, they're bringing a major uh, crossover festival by the same people of ACL, called the Two Step In, to the park that I grew up going to as a kid. Um, it's interesting for certain. The I don't necessarily feel the residual benefits of um, mainstream business coming to Austin yet. It's I think that the residual benefits of it will eventually um, eventually show its value. I posted on LinkedIn about the fact that the Lightspeed rail will go from Houston to Dallas, Dallas to Houston, and it'll stop in College Station. But College Station is about an hour outside of Austin, or maybe 2 hours outside of Austin, which, I mean, it's only 3 hours to Houston. So if you're taking 2 hours and you're traveling to College Station in order to get on a Lightspeed rail just to get to go, there's more time. There's just you're adding travel time for effectively no reason. And it's also up in the air as how much parking will be at College Station, and when the stops in College Station would occur. So, yeah, I just am not very certain how to talk about Austin Live and Local. I'm not sure what needs to be said at this point. Early on, I felt that the thing that needed to be said was that the local Austinites weren't being heard, that outside influence had come to Austin to and it had inadvertently suppressed the voice of the local Austinites, and that the craziness had, that there was a big pushback against the liberalization of Austin, but the mainstream narrative, the narrative that the media was pushing was that it was accepted and that was, you know, that it was okay for people to be doing things that were weren't okay, and I think that brought along a lot of negative, crime and things that are aren't directly correlated with, like, more open ideologies, but the large majority of people, there's a silent conservatism, um, that exists in the Central Texas area that's not shown in the polling and everything, because a lot of people just wanna stick to themselves. They just want to, go to their 9 to 5, make their money, go to maybe a concert or a show or something like that every year, even, like, on very irregular basis, and then, you know, I guess they just kind of make do with what they have. That's very much, I feel like, the silent conservatism that is in Central Texas, and unfortunately, they're not making enough money to, for their voice to be heard, even if they did speak up, because what ends up happening is those wealthy, more open, less conservative people are gentrifying the areas um, that they grew up in, and I feel some way, like, on the scale or the spectrum of that, I feel that these brands and companies that are coming in and putting on events and things like of that nature should find a way to represent the locals on a better at a like, to represent them better. Because when I look at shows or I look at events like South by Southwest, I feel like that they've lost their authenticity. I feel like that's what's challenging, and I think that Austin Live and Local wants to bring back that, like, gritty aspect of authenticity and that wants to showcase everyone to a larger degree, but also really put those people who are, like, doing right by Austin, uh, by being both, you know, enough conservative, enough liberal, it's just finding that balance. That's the balance of not too much of each being sort of right, and so it's a real challenging thing to think about. The what what is the message that Austin is trying to send to the rest of the world as to why Austin's a great place, a safe place, a um a place for people to move to because everyone seems to be wanting to move here for whatever benefit that they're getting from moving here or just to Texas in general. And then talk about what are our principles and why we believe in these values and these virtues versus other um other cities that are maybe a little bit out of control or are permitting things that they maybe should be reining in on. Reminding people that we're a very rural oriented area that a lot of people make their money in blue collar work and in farming out in this area versus this technocracy that is the central hub of Austin. Um, and that when these technocrats do move here, I know a little bit about technology, but I don't know enough to be um I don't know enough to be an employee of an Apple or an IBM or Dell computer or anything like that. Like I don't attribute myself to it. So like when I speak, I'm thinking about these people and I'm thinking about their contributions to the community. And I'm thinking about what messaging will resonate with them along as much as what resonates with the McDonald's worker who has to, raise 3 kids and is in that position because their mother's house got foreclosed on and that the situation is that they couldn't afford to live in the neighborhood that they grew up in because they built a Starbucks next to it. So then people decided to move into the neighborhood. And so because they felt that it was more safe with the fact that there was a big business in the area, whatever the case may be, however that works. And, everybody's story is different as to how they get um, redlined or gerrymandered out of where they're they're from. Um, so I want to definitely be concerned. I definitely want to be empathetic towards that because I am I grew up here, first generation from Austin, from Central Texas. Um, I know those kids who are third generation and grew up here and really, you know, um, I know that their perspectives on the world aren't going to be as diverse as those who are nomadic and um, who have more um, families that are more bohemian in nature uh, and are more like transient in that aspect. But trying to find the balance there um, between those two communities. I am I feel I'm an example of a balance. I don't know if I'm more transient than I am local or what have you. I'm and I want to make sure that when I talk and I talk about local politics or local local aspects of culture that I'm uh talking with equity for both of those parties because there could be there could be a disruptance if one of those groups becomes too um egregious in their behaviors. You know, I've seen it around the world where localism tribalism can hurt the native people, and I've also seen where it can hurt the behaviors of colonizers and transients and people who, uh, don't pay their homage and respect can cause problems too, and so I just I don't see a huge amount of issues in the Central Texas area. I think, it's one of the more, you know, open-minded, I feel, areas. Of course, though I can't say the same for Waco or San Antonio. So, as the I-35 corridor closes on it on the Austin metropolitan area, how those influences from external sources, um, communicate inward, and how, as a brand, Austin Live and Local can be a, um, a lightning rod for, authenticity and realism and, um, and quality of life. So, I'd say those 3 things are the things that we're talking about, um, when it comes to Austin Live and Local and what we would need to do to bring it back in a very authentic way. With the podcast, with the live streams, with the events, with everything associated with that, and the participation, of course, in that regard, and, um, there's a consideration of monetization when it comes to that as well. If, like, what do we do? Um how do we offer a membership program that gets discounts or something like that around local small businesses in the Austin and surrounding areas? Um So that's Austin Live and Local. That's the Sports Business Network. That's Cyber City Media. That's Trent Knox Productions as a brand and everything like that. And I have to, definitely shout out all my folks. So I said Brian. I said Knives. I said, Evan at Tipalti. I've said a bunch of different names that I've talked throughout this podcast. Shout out to my mom. I said my mom earlier. Shout out to my brother and my dad. Shout out to my grandmother. Shout out to everyone in the family. It's the holiday season, of course. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Xmas, whatever you feel, however you celebrate. Then there's gonna be definitely a happy New Year and everything like that as well. Depending if I don't know the situation, what I'll be end up doing, but um, yeah, this has been a good podcast. I've been able to get a lot of things that have been on my mind um, off my chest and off my mind and off my everything. I don't know. I think technologically speaking that, I want to be able to do more podcasts, and there are a lot of things yeah, there's so much that's happening in the 2023 time frame that I'm looking forward to big things, big things. I can't speak to all of them, but it's gonna be really exciting, and I think it'll open the opportunity for me to do some gaming live streams, which I'm gonna really enjoy doing. Uh, I hope that I'm gonna be able to do more IRL broadcasts, um, as soon as some of the kinks in technology gets fixed, to make that possible. What else? What else? What else? I would say that, Indie Darlings is now open for business for foot traffic. So Knives has now got Indie Darlings on Google Maps and Yelp and all that. So if you're in the Austin area and you need to go shoot some video and everything like that, definitely check out Indie Darlings uh, as an opportunity. I should say, as an option for video production as a studio. Of course, the as you can see in the lower thirds here, go to https://links.trentknox.com and just check out all the resources there. And until I see you on the next one, thank you for tuning in to this broadcast. And I'll catch you guys on the next one, I think. Let's see.